Brian could barely hear him now, heard mostly noise and static. That's right, I can't fly. The plane is flying now, but I don't know how much longer. Over. Lost signal. Your location, please. Flight number. Location. Over. So the fact that it's written like this kind of shows us that he doesn't have very good signal. I don't know my flight number or location. I don't know anything. I told you that. Over. He waited now. Waited, but there was nothing. Once for a second he thought he heard a break in the noise, some part of a word, but it could have been static. 2, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, the plane roared and Brian listened, but heard no one. Then he hit the switch again. I do not know the flight number. My name is Brian Robeson, and we left Hampton, New York, headed for the Canadian oil fields to visit my father, and I do not know how to fly an airplane. And the pilot, he let go of the mic. His voice was starting to rattle, and he felt as if he might start screaming at any second. He took a deep breath. If there is anybody listening who can help me fly a plane, please answer. Again, he released the mic, but he heard nothing but the hissing of noise in the headset. After half an hour of listening and repeating the cry for help, he tore the headset off in frustration and threw it to the floor. It all seemed so hopeless. Even if he did get somebody, what could anybody do? Tell him to be careful? All so hopeless. Notice the repetition here, hopeless. He tried to figure out the dials again. He thought he might know which was speed. It was the lighted number that read 160, but he didn't know if that was actual miles an hour or kilometers, or if it just meant how fast the plane was moving through the air and not over the ground. He knew airspeed was different from ground speed, but not by how much. Parts of books he'd read about flying came to him. How wings worked, how the propeller pulled the plane through the sky. Simple things that wouldn't help him now. Nothing could help him now. An hour passed. He picked up the headset and tried again. He knew in the end all he had, but there was no answer. He felt like a prisoner kept in a small cell that was hurtling through the sky at what he thought to be 160 miles an hour, headed he didn't know where, just headed somewhere until there it was. Until what? He ran out of fuel? When the plane ran out of fuel, it would go down. Period. Or he could pull the throttle out and make it go down now. He had seen the pilot push the throttle in to increase speed. If he pulled the throttle back out, the engine would slow down and the plane would go down. So we're actually going to skip a little bit for the sake of time. Typically, you should not do this as an independent reader, but class time is getting a little bit short. Here we see him making some decisions. And then we're going to go down to right here where it says it all made sense. Glide down, then slow the plane and hit. And this is where he's deciding how he is going to try and land the plane himself. Hit. He would have to find a clearing as he went down. The problem with that was he hadn't seen one clearing since they'd started flying over the forest. So by clearing, he means a safe place to land. It seems that there's trees everywhere. Some swamps, but they had trees scattered through them. No roads, no trails, no clearings, just the lakes. And it came to him that he would have to use a lake for landing. If he went down in the trees, he was certain to die. The trees would tear the plane to pieces as it went into them. He would have to come down in a lake. No, on the edge of a lake. He would have to come down near the edge of a lake and try to slow the plane as much as possible just before he hit the water. Easy to say, he thought, hard to do. Easy to say, hard to do. It became a chant that beat with the engine. Easy say, hard do. Impossible to do. So let's skip forward and see what he does. Over and over, his mind ran the picture of how it would go. The plane running out of gas, flying the plane into the water, the crash from pictures he'd seen on television. He tried to visualize it. He tried to be ready. But between the 17th and 18th radio transmissions, without a warning, the engine coughed, roared violently for a second, and died. There was a sudden silence, cut only by the sound of the wind milling propeller and the wind past the cockpit. So Brian is realizing right now this plane is going to die. It's going to run out of fuel, and he is going to have to land the plane. Let's read this last line. Brian pushed the nose of the plane down and threw up. So make sure that you have filled in your graphic organizer and then write your objective summary.